So I met Colleen. I was walking down the street in Brooklyn, and I bumped into a guy named Sean James. He's the party promoter, show promoter. So I bumped into Sean James, and I just, I asked him, hey, I'm looking for a rock singer, and I had already been looking for about 2 years. So I asked him, I was looking for a rock singer, and he said, oh, I know the perfect girl. And he told me the girl's name was Colleen Evans. Colleen Evans. Colleen Evans. Colleen Evans. Colleen Evans. Colleen Evans.
He can hear himself, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's a more like even, because I think what happened was, it's sort of like, it kind of starts softly, and then by the time you get to the fill, you haven't really grown as much, and the fill just jumps up a notch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the only. But what you played was it. Okay.
Yeah, we can just get that real quick and then.
Cool. Shall we start from the top into the verse, or?
Let's just do the whole thing straight through.
Do the whole thing again.
Absolutely.
All right. Cool. Here it comes.
I brought some magnificent musicians in. One of them happened to be JP. We came in and we tracked the drums. Making music, live music, it's a process. There's writing the song, then there's rehearsing the song, and then there's creating parts and then recreating parts. And today, the part that was done today was to track the drums as one of the parts.
Oh yeah, it's always a fun process because come in with like a demo and you're like, I think I pretty much know what I'm doing. But it's always kind of a fun thing where I know that I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I just can't. So we play through stuff and we come in the room and we say, all right, what was cool, what was not cool? And you go from there, and maybe it all gets cool. You're like, how do we make this cooler? And eventually you just kind of like reach that point of diminishing returns and you're like, it is done. And it always feels good when you finally get there. You've tweaked it enough. And you're like, at this point, if we keep tweaking, when it's not getting any better, it's just making it more complicated.
The tom, that outro stuff, do you like it with the tom? Or with just the kick? Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
We had a song that at this point I considered what we had a demo.
Because you'd recorded the whole thing thinking that was the song.
Yeah, so we recorded the whole thing thinking that was a song, meaning spent 30 hours of writing the song. Then I wrote a chorus to a song. I shared it with Colleen. Colleen heard it, she sang it. It sounded amazing. Then I told her, hey, you write your verses and I'll write mine. So then she wrote her verses of the song. And then we went into the studio and the musicians just played. And she just started singing. And then we decided, and then as the producer, I'd start to say, let's take this part, let's play this part first. Let's put this verse here. Let's put this chorus here. I think this chorus should only play 2 times or 3 times. And we started making those decisions as far as, at least I started making those decisions as far as producing the song. And then we went in the studio and recorded. Now I thought we had a completed song. And then I started to realize like we don't. And so now we're coming in with a whole new set of musicians and making the song over, just taking those parts as references and then deciding what we want to tweak, change, recreate, replay, play in a different way.
It goes back to talking about like finishing something you thought you started a long time ago, or coming back to something. You never come back to anything. It's new because you're new, and who you are there is no set version of who and what you are. There's just some things that you maybe like to hold close. But so in that same way, I think it's really nice, and you let that process happen pretty well.
Yeah.
Which is cool, because you could have stuck to it, been like, yeah, but I want exactly that.
Yeah, no.
It's what your way was, let's try some new things, and this is what I liked about what we did before. Yeah. And that's really how demos should work.
So I when I wrote the chorus to Monster in Me, I was envisioning a drum pattern and envisioning what the guitars might sound like.
Sure.
And then I brought it in, and musicians just started playing, and I was just like, that's not what I heard in my head.
Mm.
And then I realized in that moment, because it was like a 4 against 1 kind of situation, and I was just like, no, that's not what I heard. And they're like, no, but this sounds good. And I had to like have a moment and take a deep breath and just say, okay, I'm gonna let it be what it's gonna be.
To me, like the meaning of the song, the characters attached to the song is really important. I'm not so attached to this is the style of music I play, and this is like my band, like as I said, is very collaborative and stuff. So it's like we kind of like stuff just happens. And we're like, well, I guess that's the song, So like, what matters more, for example, in my band, is that I'm making it with these people, and what matters more, especially in this project, is the story, because like, I mean, that just is it's just an important project, based on the mission alone, you know what I mean, and wanting to honor this person and sort of, I'm not sure if a tribute is the right word, but something around there. So to me, regardless of what the music was, it was an easy decision. It was just sort of a lucky draw that the music was also cool.
Yeah. Okay, so if anyone knows, the song Monster in Me, the purpose, the point, and the message lying in the music and the lyrics. So I guess the question more is like, do you feel like everyone has a monster in them? And just to give context, I guess, like monster, when I wrote it as Monster in Me is your higher self, or your more determined and driven self that you call to overcome a major obstacle or battle. That's what Monster in Me is for me.
Right. So
in your perspective, do you have a monster in you, or does everyone have a monster in them? And let's start with that.
Well, I think, it's also, in a sense, the word monster can be tricky, right? Because it's a question of semantics. Because what you call monster, I call beast.
Yes.
For a lot of people, like a monster can have negative connotations too. And in a way, maybe that makes the song deeper. Because sometimes you don't know what it is that drives you. And sometimes it's just pure. It's pure drive, and it could be, it's monsters in a way, because you don't necessarily I guess beast is the same way. Beast can be used in a negative context too. But I think everybody has that. Because perhaps maybe a lot of people don't really get to see their monster to the fullest. Okay, so should I play from here?
Yeah.
What's in the guitar specifically?
No, two things.
Okay.
One thing is the solo plays on top of that third chorus.
That whole third chorus into the outro, right? Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. It kind of like bleeds over, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I wanted to know, one, do you feel like the solo should have its own piece? So for me, at least originally, I felt like the chorus having its own piece would be like so 1980, 1990. But the song is 1980, 1990. So it's almost like, how do you approach that? Because I know in the 2000s is like, you know, songs with a solo guitar, like an actual solo guitar is like, you know. But it's just like, how do you...
It's kind of rare.
Yeah. But how do you feel? Like, do you feel like...
The thing is, like, I've never asked myself that question, or I've never focused on that kind of thing. For me, it's more like, it's not... First of all, it's now.
Yeah, it's now.
And now is... It's not 1980 or 2019. It's whatever I want to make, or you want to make, right?
Yeah.
So whatever you find musical, or your... Whatever your expression is in this moment. If you want to put a guitar solo, if you want to put a 5-minute guitar solo in there, put it in. If no one listens to it because of that, that's okay. You'll know. You didn't do it and think, you know, you're not doing it thinking people are gonna like be fawning over it. But you need to put in the type of thing you want for it, you know, your vision of the song. So if you're asking me from an arrangement, now if we're just talking arrangement, it's kind of cool with the solo underneath the with the solo being underneath the chorus. It's kind of a nicer feel because there's a lot growing and moving rather than, okay, because there's a lot of sparse sections here. You know, every time she sings, she's really bold and there's not a lot supporting her. There's a lot of air. Also why the time pushing is kind of nice. But also, when she sings both verses, they're really sparse. There's a lot of room there. So to have like this like kind of growing intro and then you get room, you got to think of it visually, right? So you've got a growing intro, then you've got some room that it drops out, then it pumps up for the chorus, verse pulls back out and she's like riding on top of it, the chorus pulls up, and then suddenly you come in with the bridge and it's like slightly comes down just a tiny bit, right? But the momentum stays and then it just grows and grows and grows and then punches out into a last chorus that's even louder. How do we make that louder? We put a solo underneath it.
I'm a freelance musician. Still kind of trying to figure it out, but I like that it like involves just meeting a lot of people, and you just so many opportunities to kind of like get different perspectives. It's I think it's a cool opportunity to do right by someone, and it's being passionate about a thing you can use to like make someone happy. I think is a really cool thing, especially when it like I feel like in these times it's like kind of hard to do right by other people. So music is a good kind of channel for that. That's why I enjoy doing it. So.
I just want to loop the verse enough for you to learn what you want to do, and then have you do a full take, because a lot of your early takes are pretty magical, I'd say. You know, there's a lot of like attitude and slight tension still in there. I don't want you to have learnt it too well.
Okay.
I think it sounds a little bit raw still that way. So I think we have to have a good balance between not beating it to death and then you're just playing the part.
Or even in the conversation of why it's important for me to finish this project, I feel like it's my contribution. It's my contribution that aligns with the messages that I think are, you know, important to me, or the messages I think that could be important to the world or could support someone else. And so that resonates with me in regards to, I feel like making this music or making music in general is just my chance to leave a contribution to possibly make someone's life better.
Right? I'm gonna play the second verse for you too. There's no differences in terms of like there's no harmonic differences. It's just at the very end. It's just how I do a couple extra repeats of that phrase. So Yeah, just the way that you're gonna unison that is a little different. So I'm just gonna play that bit for you. Same, right?
It's special to be a part of something where you have to be like reverent because this is a tribute, and it makes me like examine my motives every time I do something musically. Like, am I doing this for me or for the music? You know, because ultimately this shouldn't be about me. This is like something I should be approaching with a lot of reverence because it's a tribute to someone who meant a lot.
Just like it was the ball opposition, just watch me stand tall like a tower, with fear in your heart. I can smell cowards, you can't fix your face, the beat tastes sour. Now I got the juice, get it, power. Monster, sleep, baby, monster brigade, burn to a beast. So call me being, but I beast for the weak, like a dog in heat. I can't beat the street, and all I need when it's time to go is energy. Not afraid of the word God.
That's good. That's perfect.
Way too hot, you just watch. It was the ball opposition, just watch me.
Yeah, that's it. Now he's playing.
I can smell cowards, you can't fix your face, the beat tastes sour. Now I got the juice, get it, power.
Done. You don't need to do it
I
again.
gotta stop talking to you. I gotta stop talking to him. Yeah. Yeah, that's why we called you. That was why we called you. Yes. Yeah. That was the reason why you got the call. Saying just like the reason why Todd's here. It's like, yeah, we weren't doing this if you weren't here. That was the reason. All right, so we're gonna listen to it just because we're gonna make sure that was perfect. But that was. Yeah, we're going from right there. Yes, we are. Yeah, now we locked in.
That fill was good too.